everyone, Lainey here, and it's late. It's like what, 9? Yeah, 9:30, and it's Wednesday, so it's Top 5 Wednesday, and this week has been a hard week. I'm not at home because we're currently going through stuff. We're without electricity, and it's a whole other thing. So if you've seen any of my videos before, this backdrop probably doesn't look very familiar. But I really like this topic, and it's October, so I wanted to kind of get into like watching very like either witch-filled or like horror things, reading that kind of stuff, and I plan on filming my September wrap-up and like kind of just a spooky October TBR, because I plan on participating in some readathons and just getting all, into the spirit of Halloween. But yeah, so I'm planning on doing that in the future once I have things more situated, but for now I wanted to at least do this video real quick, and it is top 5 witches, and I'm taking that to mean like your favorite witches and stuff, and I'm super cheating with this one. I'm going to do just to mention 3 quick honorable mentions, and then I have a top 6. So yes, we should get started. So the first honorable mention that I'm just going to mention real quick is Sally from Practical Magic. I like both of the lead ladies, but the one that was played by Sandra Bullock, she was my favorite. She was more down to earth, and I kind of related to her more, and yeah, I wanted to mention her real quick. I've never read the book, which I'm aware that it's based off the book, but the movie is one of my favorites, and I just, since I was little, have always just been in love with all things that have a very witch focus on it. So in that same vein, I have the Twitches from the duology thing of the mini Disney Channel original movies. Like, it was a miniseries, there was like 2 of them. I loved those. I loved the lore that came with it, of like they had like dreams and stuff, and the whole other magical world. I loved that one, and of course Marnie and her grandmother from Halloween Town. Those are my honorable mentions that I just wanted to give a shout out to real quick. And then for number 6, I have Ursula, the sea witch from Little Mermaid. Is one of my favorite Disney movies, and when you're talking about witches, you kind of have to mention her at least. She was one that has been in nearly everyone's life growing up, and I love her so much. She is probably one of the few evil witches that is on my list, kind of thing. But yes, I like her. She's very different from what you immediately think of when you think of a witch, but I like her. And to kind of just give a quick reference to her daughter from the Descendants series, Uma, because I need to. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Yes, so I have those. Number 5 that I have here is Misty Day. She is from American Horror Story, the 3rd season, which is Coven, and it's all about witches, and I really liked a lot of them. My other favorite from the season would probably be Nan, but the one that kind of, I think, struck a chord with a lot of people, because she's such a sweetheart, but like she can go very dark if she needs to, and I just she's one of my favorites. I have a pop of her that I would totally be holding up, but as I said, I'm not at home right now, so that is number 5. Next, I have probably one of the most infamous witches ever at number 4, and that is Sabrina. I have loved every like Sabrina related thing. I loved watching the TV show with Melissa Joan Hart. I used to watch the animated series, like the ones that they would like come with the discs of a few episodes, like with the cereal boxes and stuff, like way back in the day. And obviously I loved her from the Archie comics, and I loved even the newer stuff that they've been making of her, like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I'm really hyped because they're making a spin-off show of Riverdale featuring her, and I just felt like she was just such a nice charming take on, like, the teenage coming-of-age story, but just, like, if you added in the element of magic and her being a witch and learning how to, like, use her powers and all that, and I love her a lot, so she made the list. Next, I'm excited because I actually have something physical to hold up and not just awkwardly placing a picture from my iPod. I have Mildred Hubble from The Worst Witch. I also really love her best friend Maud. I've been binge watching the Netflix series that they have, and then it felt like something that had books behind it, like that was based off of books. So I looked into it, and they had books. I found this at Second and Charles, and then later when I went there, they had the fourth one in the free bin, so I have the first and fourth one now. Not too crazy about the fourth one's cover though, because it's for the movie that they made like in the 80s or something that I do want to watch, because when I looked into it, Tim Curry's in it and stuff, but obviously I prefer these. And yes, this Mildred, not many people have probably heard of her, because I never heard of her until the Netflix show, is basically known as the Worst Witch, and she's in the show, because so far I'm in the middle of the book right now, and it's so far kind of different, the backstory that they give you, but in the show, she doesn't come from a family of witches, so when she goes to an academy where literally every single one of the other girls has came from like a long line of generations of witches, she kind of seems like the worst one because she's the weakest out of them or the most untrained. But I love her. I've been reading it, watching it, and I've just really gotten into her as a character, and it's gotten me into a very witch mood again, because besides rewatching a show that I'll mention later over and over again, I don't really have too much media in my life lately that has witches in it, so that she's high up there. Okay, and at number 2, getting to the top, you have one of the most famous witches of all time, and that is Elphaba, or the Wicked Witch of the West, from any sort of Wizard of Oz media. Like, you have the original one from Wizard of Oz, and you have kind of the strange take that many people didn't like, but I liked, of from Oz the Great and Powerful, that Mila Kunis played. Then you have, obviously, the books by Gregory Maguire and the musical that came out of it, and no matter what variation you have of her, I really love her as a character. I love her in any sort of, like, world or format that people make of her, and The Wizard of Oz is one of my favorite children's books, one of my favorite movies, just anything related to it I really love, so she's one of my favorite villains, and obviously one of my favorite witches as an extension of it. And lastly, I'm really excited that I actually have a visual aid for this. It's cheating, because I already have mentioned so many witches, and this one is kind of grouping in 4, but it would be the Charmed ones from the show Charmed. I'm also currently reading one of the little books that they make of them that is actually, like, I think co-written by one of the creators of the show, so it just feels like you're watching an episode of it. But anyways, yes, I discovered Charmed when I was in the 2nd grade, I believe. One of my friends that I had at the time really liked it, and then I started watching it, and it was just, I became obsessed with it. I love Prue, and I love Paige. I don't have, like, a preference of one over the other, even though a lot of people make it seem like you need to. But I love them both dearly, but my favorite growing up was always Phoebe. I felt like I was Phoebe, I wanted to be Phoebe, I was obsessed with Alyssa Milano, and it's just, I liked that, the other ones had such, like, these badass powers, and she was kind of, like, the one who still managed to be really kick-ass, even though she had more of a dormant, inactive power, and I really like that. But as I have rewatched through the series so many times over the years, I have grown to think that my current favorite at the moment, if you were to ask me, is Piper. And I don't know, I just love them all so much, and I love the story. I've read the comics for, like, the first 2 seasons that they did of the comics, the books, the show. It's all great. They are my favorite witches of all time, and probably always will be, so there's that. And, yeah, since I was currently reading those 2, I have them with me, and yeah, that's basically it. Ended up being longer than I thought it would be. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you would like to see more of my face and my books. Bye!